What's going on, everyone? So Dennis Schroder is officially a Toronto Raptor. He spent last year with the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Lakers ended up getting a replacement to Dennis Schroder and Gabe Vincent, who I want to talk about and break down. But Dennis Schroder for the Lakers this past year was solid, right? He was good, not great. He gave us just under 13 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. But he was a great point of attack defender. Darvin Ham really leaned on him heavily. He was a guy that really was just on both sides of the ball, but he wasn't like, he disappeared at times for the Lakers. There was times where he literally got played off the court, and yes, he could be he's Dennis the Menace, and he's had some great, brilliant moments. Like the Minnesota Timberwolves series, right? Where he just, if it wasn't for Dennis Schroder, we don't win that game, right? Or not series, but game, right? The play-in game. If it's not for Schroeder, we lose that game. And that led us into the playoffs, which allowed us to go on our run throughout the course of the regular season. He was solid. He missed the first 12 games, but then ended up still playing 66 games for the Lakers. So he was a guy that was reliable, dependable, played 30 minutes per game. But efficiency-wise, he was rough, right? He shot 33% from three, 41.5% from the field, which is never ideal, right? He was 46% from two-point range, which is basically where he operated in the mid-range, a little floater, getting to the basket. And he was really good from the free throw line. He shot 86% from the free throw line. He was a guy that was great in that backup point guard role. He was a guy that I and many others really wanted to see the Lakers bring back, right? Because it was like, man, this guy, he is okay with playing the role. He provides as a point of attack defensive guard, which we need. He's a little undersized, which is, if he was like 6'4", 6'5", he might be one of, if not the best defensive guards in the league. It's just at 6'1", it's a different type of game, especially when you're going up against somebody like a Jamal Murray who's 6'5", 6'4", and just bigger, has a lower center of gravity, and is just able to bump you around. And then when Schroeder, because he can't really shoot the ball, it's hard for him to play off the ball, but you're running with guys like LeBron James, and you got D'Angelo Russell, and you got Austin Reeves, who really blossomed and thrived. So it was like, okay, we need to keep the ball in their hands at times and allow them to make plays. So we need to move Schroeder off the ball, and he's our best point of attack defensive guard, but he's undersized. It was a weird, tricky situation when it came to Dennis Schroder. And again, I would have loved to brought Dennis Schroder back. I still think he's one of the best just backup point guards in the league. Because you don't need, it's okay for him to be inconsistent at times when he's your backup, right? The problem is when your backup is inconsistent and your starting point guard is inconsistent as well. Usually you're hoping that your starting point guard is really good, and then your backup point guard comes in and can bring some stability. And then if he doesn't, it's okay. You can always go back and default on your starting point guard. But we saw in the Denver series, Dennis Schroder was basically non-existent and a non-factor. And then D'Angelo Russell, who was our starting point guard, was basically non-existent and a liability out there. And it was just like, what do we do? Right? Where do we go? Because we need these two guys to count on. And Schroeder should have played a big game because of his ability to get to the basket and the lack of defense and rim protection that Denver has. And Schroeder was just never able to really get there. And I like that the Lakers were able to essentially flip Dennis Schroder. It would have been nice to keep him, but with the acquisition of Gabe Vincent, I think the Lakers absolutely got better. Now, you can make arguments either way for Dennis Schroder and Gabe Vincent, without a doubt. I think Gabe Vincent, though, will be more consistent than Dennis Schroder is. His upside on games might not be as high as Dennis Schroder, right? Dennis Schroder, when he was on, that guy was 20 points a game easy. Right? He had several games like that where when he was knocking down the three ball, his ability to just get to the basket and blow by people, his ability to knock down the mid-range and be a three-level scorer, when he was hitting, his upside was great. But I think Gabe Vincent, I think his floor is just better than Schroeder's. And I do think that his upside can still be a huge factor. I don't think Vincent gets played off the floor like Dennis Schroeder did on numerous occasions. Gabe Vincent is also a little bigger, right? 6'3", 200 pounds. So he's got a little more height, a little more size. And I just think that he's going to sort of round out that bench unit a lot better. Dennis Schroeder wasn't a great playmaker by any stretch. Neither is Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent isn't a great playmaker, but he does do a lot of the same stuff that Dennis Schroeder does. He can be a point of attack defender. He can also be just your normal defender. He's got better size, so he can switch on other players and other positions more and have a little more effectiveness. He's hard-nosed and just gets after it just like Dennis Schroeder, which you need and which you want. But also, his ability to shoot should be better. Now, in the regular season, Gabe Vincent, or at least this past season, just didn't have the best three-point percent. I mean, he was still better than Schroeder, but he not by much. He was 33.5%. He was 87% from the free throw line, so he gives you the same production from the free throw line as Dennis Schroeder does. But in the postseason, he shot 38% from three, and he shot 88% from the free throw line. So his play elevated in the playoffs, where Schroeder's production just completely went down. He also went from 9.5 points per game in the regular season to almost 13 points per game in the regular season. He's a guy that wasn't afraid of the moment. He's a guy that was more reliable, more accountable. He played better on both sides than what we saw with Schroeder. And I think that is why he was the better choice, right? Like when the Lakers went and signed Gabe Vincent, it was like, well, okay, one of D'Lo or Schroeder are gone. And it's probably Schroeder. And the Lakers just got a more consistent, reliable Dennis Schroeder. Now, can he replicate his past shooting percentage? So, like, for example, like I said, this past year, on 5 attempts per game, he shot 33.5%. But the previous year, on 5 attempts per game, he shot 37% from three. Can he do that in the regular season for the Lakers? Which I do believe he can, because the Lakers have better playmakers than Miami did, right? You got LeBron James, you got D'Angelo Russell, you got Austin Reeves. You got these guys that when he is playing off the ball can actually get him in better positions to knock down open shots, are going to be able to generate and collapse the defense to get him better open looks. I do think Vincent will be more productive offensively and more efficient offensively playing with the Lakers than he would with Miami, right? Like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are great, but they're not LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They're not going to draw the attention to the level of that. You saw a lot of teams, even when Jimmy Butler was cooking, they weren't really double teaming Jimmy Butler. But you saw with Anthony Davis, every team we played was just packing the paint, having 2 or 3 guys on AD at all times. LeBron, they would double team LeBron. Also, LeBron James is one of the best playmakers ever, right? So I do think Vincent is going to have more success with the Lakers than he did with Miami over the course of the regular season. And if he continues to up his play in the playoffs, then that's even better, right? I do believe that Gabe Vincent with the Lakers can be at least 12 to 13 points per game, which was what Dennis Schroeder was. But I think he will be more efficient in that role. He's not a great playmaker, but neither was Dennis Schroeder. He's a little bigger, gives you the same type of defense, but I also think Gabe Vincent is a better overall shooter than Dennis Schroeder is. And I think that will replicate over the regular season. I think he goes and provides and gives you the same type of offensive production that Dennis Schroeder gives, but I think instead of 40% from the field, it'll be 45% from the field. Instead of 33% from three, I think it'll be 36, 37% from three. So he won't have to take 10 shots to get 12 points. He'll be able to get you 12 points on like 8, right? Like that is more efficient. That is more effective. That will be better in the long run. Also, Gabe Vincent won't be on a roster like Dennis Schroder was for a good majority of the season, right? Like Dennis Schroder was on a terrible roster with like him and Patrick Beverley, and just we didn't have any size, we didn't have any shit, we didn't have anything. Now Gabe Vincent is going to be in a position to where, like I said, he has Austin Reeves and his new emergence, right? He has D'Angelo Russell, he has Anthony Davis, he has LeBron James, he has Rui Hachimura. He has, Jared Vanderbilt and Taurean Prince and Cam Reddish, and the list goes on and on and on. The Lakers are deep, they're talented, they're tough, they're switchable, they got good size. Gabe Vincent is literally the smallest, shortest player on the Lakers roster. That is huge for the Lakers. And so I really look at Gabe Vincent and kind of put him in Dennis Schroeder's role, and I really believe it's an upgrade. I really do. Is Dennis Schroeder's better at just giving him the ball and letting him go create? I do think that. I do think that there is a real argument that Dennis Schroeder is the better overall player. I don't think it's by a margin, but I do think that there is an argument for that. However, I think that Gabe Vincent is going to be the overall better fit and provide more stability and just consistency, which is what I think the Lakers need more. Right? Like if you could run this season with Dennis Schroeder and then run this season with Gabe Vincent, I absolutely believe that, again, this should have to be some like parallel universe, but I absolutely believe that when you look back at the end of the season, maybe you could do this on like 2K or something like that, but I absolutely believe that if you look, Gabe Vincent will be more efficient and better over the course of that season than Dennis Schroeder will. Like I just do. I mean, there's no real way of knowing that for certain, but I look at what Gabe Vincent is really good at in the way he plays, and I think he is a perfect complement to a LeBron James, right? There's a reason that guys like Deladova and, George Hill and guys like that had such great years at point guard next to guys like LeBron James, because they could shoot the ball, they could play defense, were hard-nosed, and LeBron James is going to pull that out of him. I think he's going to have a lot of success. I genuinely do. But those are my thoughts and opinions. And as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you somewhere in between? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments.